Yes, it does come because if you remember when the president or the presidency wrote that letter, I responded by saying that I thought it was unconstitutional and was an infringement on my independence. And they responded by saying that because I was not a lawyer, that's why maybe I didn't understand them. And I'm happy the Supreme Court has upheld the same position that I held, as well as the civil society also thought was right. To be honest with you, that is very unfortunate from my point of view because the highest office of the land, the office of the president, should rather be seen as enforcing or complying with the laws of the land instead of being at the forefront of violating or breaching these laws. So that is what disturbs me. But I am happy to say that never again do I think it will happen. Since the Supreme Court has decided on it, I am sure it will be upheld by this government and subsequent government. So no Auditor General may face or suffer what I suffered. That is my happiness.
At the point, I recall that the position of the executive and then their reaction was that based on documentation that they had, it was on the basis of that that they took this decision. I mean, did that make any legal sense, really?
If really they had documentation, that documentation was presented to the Supreme Court. It would be very sad if they didn't present it to the Supreme Court if they had that documentation. So I'm sure they presented their documentation. It was looked at, and the Supreme Court disregarded it.
What does this say in a whole about the abuse of executive power? And it's a conversation that I've had with you before. Really, this is a clear reflection of the abuse of executive power, is it not?
Yes, from my point of view, it is an abuse of executive power, especially when it is expressly stated what must be done. Look, if you remember, the office of the president, even in responding to my position, stated that they were depending upon, what do you call it, Section 30 of the Labor Act, which says every laborer or worker should take leave. But they didn't see Section 27, which said they should give the laborer or the worker at least 30 days notice prior to the commencement of the leave. Because the office of the president knew that if they had given me 30 days, I will have gone to court to enchant them. So they wanted to do everything possible that I could not have done anything to stop their illegal action. But better late than never. Many people are worried that it is justice delayed and justice denied. I said, well, I think nobody knows that better than the Supreme Court judges. And to me, the timing was also a bit okay for me because the office was so toxic that there was no point in staying in that office. So if they abuse their powers towards me by removing me from danger, I think it was fine. But I was operating in a very toxic environment, a situation where you watch what you drink, you watch what you eat, you even watch who you talk to and what you say among your colleagues, because you know that you are operating in an enemy territory. I think it was wrong. So to me, it was a relief, even though many people think otherwise.
See, I recall that at the time when you even pointed out this illegality, they extended your leave from 123 days to 167 days. I mean, that is a reflection of that abuse of the executive power to that extent.
Exactly, it is. But it's all well and good. Now we have a decision which can guide all of us going forward. So I think it is fine.
So really, with this, the court is saying that even though it is unlawful, they because you're already proceeded, in fact you've retired, they don't take any further action. But what's your take on that as well?
Oh, that is fine because I've reached the retiring age. In fact, this was actually a very good happy birthday gift to me because tomorrow is my 62nd birthday. So tomorrow is my birthday. So definitely I've passed the 60 years. So they cannot say I should come back. To me, it will not be right. Or I should go back and serve the 167 days. I don't think it will be right. So I think we leave it as it is. The most important thing is going forward. I think same thing may not be done to any independent office holder or any auditor general appointed by any government. That is, to me, the most important lesson or position.
Are you going to seek any compensation of a sort, that is really?
How do I ask for compensation from taxpayers who did nothing to me because of the action of the president who doesn't pay tax? I will not go in for that.
Mr. Domelevo, and a happy birthday to you in advance.
Thank you very much.
And then also, and maybe just for the benefit of the Ghanaian people, I mean, if we see such things happening, what should the people of Ghana be seen to be doing? Because at the time, the civil society organizations who took this to court were the ones who were championing the court, but everybody else, you know,
Everybody likes the good thing, but nobody would like to stand out, especially when they think that there are going to be consequences. Nobody would like to stand up for what is right. And so, because the good people keep quiet, the wrong continues. I wish Ghanaians would be more active in such situations. And but let me say that it's not only the civil society, but I thank them for what they have done. But there were a few others, but they were speaking behind the curtains. They could not show their faces because they were afraid. But I think it is time for us to defend the country, defend the laws of our nation, and defend the national interests.
Mr. Malabo, I appreciate your time, sir. And the governance that we're talking about in this country, please.
But you know, good governance or good corporate governance is very key for the development of a country as well as independence of the institutions and accountability as well as transparency. So this is good. That's why I said that from my point of view, I think with this example or with this judgment, it will be difficult for any president now to touch an independent constitutional body, not only the Auditor General, but even institutions which are not granted the constitutional independence, like the police and etc. I think we should not just get up and say, because I don't like you or because your work is disturbing me and you will not compromise or whatever it is, I just kick you out. I think we may have to find a way of codifying this into our public sector so that public sector workers or public servants can discharge their duties without fear or favor. As it is now, very few would like to dare to do the right thing when they are told not to do. So I think this should form the basis of codifying some of these corporate governance rules into our laws. I am happy that I hear the Public Office Holders Act or whatever is going to be passed. I think we should look at it and make sure we protect office holders who are doing the right thing. Thank you.